Dear students, in this video we are going to discuss about structure of glucose. So glucose is the monosaccharide. So it is one of the example of monosaccharide, and also which is present in blood. It acts as a source of energy. Structurally, glucose exists in two forms. One is straight chain structure, another one is ring structure. In this ring structure, there are three types of structures are available. One is hemiacetal ring structure, Harvard projection formula, chair and the board configuration. And then first type of structure is straight chain structure of glucose. The empirical formula for glucose is C6H12O6. It was demonstrated by Cleani. Emil Fischer, another scientist, that is Emil Fischer, substituted the spatial relationship of carbon atoms in the glucose molecule and proved that certain carbon atoms in glucose molecules are asymmetric. And then glucose is a exo sugar. Why they named as exo sugar means it contains 6 carbons in its structure, and also it contains single bond. Then the functional group of glucose is aldo sugar, because another one of the examples monosaccharide is fructose. So that fructose is also same molecular formula, that is C6H12O6, and the functional group is different. The functional group of glucose is aldehyde, and then functional group of fructose is ketose. So the glucose is also called as aldo sugar, and then it is asymmetric in nature. The carbon atoms present in the position 2, 3, 4, 5 are attached with. And then next type of structure of glucose is ring structure, when the straight chain of glucose is failed to explain certain properties. So the Fischer again proposed a ring structure of glucose. According to this structure, in this solid form, the glucose is straight chain structure, but in the liquid, that is dissolved form, it attains a ring structure. So these are all the ring structures of glucose. One is alpha D glucose, another one is beta D glucose. There are two types of hemiacetal ring structure. One is alpha, another one is beta. The alpha form of glucose is formed when hydroxyl group at 5th carbon atom catches the carbonyl oxygen of rotating aldehyde group and forms hydroxyl group at the first carbon in the same side. In the beta glucose is formed when the hydrogen atom participating in the hydroxyl group at 5th carbon catches the carbonyl oxygen of rotating aldehyde group at opposite. And then Harvard projection formula of glucose is Fischer formula are useful for indicating the conformational difference among the sugars. They are difficult to write. So the Harvard in 1929 proposed a scheme in which all sugars forming carbon-membered ring are called pyrenos. A compound which possesses same 6-membered structure composed of 5 carbons and 1 oxygen, those forming 5-membered rings are called furanos or furan. It represents open chain structure of glucose, and then it represents the horizontal position of open chain structure with the angle is 90 degree. Thus, the hydroxyl group on the first carbon in the alpha D glucose and beta D glucose lies in the plane of ring, whereas beta D and alpha L lies above the plane. And then the last configuration of glucose is chair and then board configuration. So this kind of glucose structure represents the chair and then board. So this structure is similar to chair and then board shapes. Okay. So in this, the chair and then board configuration of glucose, it is otherwise called as conformational structure. So this kind of structure is the conformational structure of glucose. The molecules will be very stable if the maximum number of hydroxyl groups are in the equatorial plane directed outwards, but almost in the same plane as the ring structure. In this ring structure, the hydroxyl groups are existing in the same plane of structure, but in the chair and then board configuration, the hydroxyl group existing in the equatorial plane. So this type of this structure of glucose is very stable compared to other configurations. So this gives the molecular structure more resembling like chair and then boat configuration. So because the glucose, the structure of glucose represents the chair and then boat form. So these two form, chair form is very stable compared to boat configuration. Why the chair is more stable means because the more number of hydroxyl groups are existing in the same plane. So the chair form is very stable compared to boat configuration. But in the this confirms this is the one of the conformational structure of glucose. So the conformational structure of glucose is chair and then boat configuration of glucose. Of this chair and then boat configuration, chair form is more stable compared to boat configuration. Thank you.